Okay, I'd like to call to order the work session of Monday, May 17th for the town trustees. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic and
for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God,
indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So will Secretary Treasurer Horowitz please call the roll?
President Eric Schultz.
Yeah.
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz, obviously I am here. Trustee Edward J. Warner Jr.
Present.
Trustee William Pell IV.
Present.
Trustee Ann Welker.
Here.
Mr. President, we do have a quorum today.
Okay, great. All right, so first item on the agenda is the Lake Agawam Rain Garden that Bill Pell wants to discuss.
James, can you bring that up, the picture of it overhead, if you can? Is James there today?
Yes.
He's muted, but he's doing it.
Okay, thank you. It's the rain garden at the end of the Lake Agawam by our parking lot there, what we rent out.
The south end. Yep.
Then,
Right.
and when it was made, we put together a budget to have it maintained, and I went on the town contract and I found an outfit where we'll maintain it, come twice a year, and we all got copies of that.
Okay. Well, we do have a provision in that
Yes.
of that, a special fund that's supposed to be set up. So
Yes, I thought I have it. I can't find it on my phone.
It was set up by past trustee Havemeyer for the amount of $20,000 a year for maintenance and any plantings that we need to put in there. That was
Right.
the original resolution that we had passed.
right.
Lisa, do you have a copy of the quote there?
That was when you say a separate fund, there's some other money that's outside of our budget, or we're talking within the confines of the budget?
It was in the confines of the budget. It was supposed to be, when we received the parking fees, we were supposed to basically use up to $20,000 of that funding for maintenance of this rain garden.
So if it costs $5,000 for the year, we'd have to just replenish it to keep a fund on the books for that much.
John McDonald's prepared a resolution and it's gonna cost,
I think it was about $7,000.
$7,320.
Can you put it up can you show it up on the screen so people can see it? Lisa, please.
The resolution?
No, the quote from the,
Hold on, I gotta find it.
that would become twice a year.
All right.
Yeah, previous to this, we had worked with the handicap maintenance people to do the project. I believe we had them for 3 or 4 years, do the spring and fall cleanup. And then last year, Billy, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't the Agawam Conservancy do some plantings? And,
Yeah.
Yep.
Just one
And we're taking it back over now, correct?
Yes, their guarantee's up, and so we're taking it over.
Okay.
Before that, we had our marine maintenance crew do the spring and fall cleanup, but the problem with the size of the garden and the time that they needed to put in there, it was too overwhelming for those guys to do.
Big job.
They're not set up for it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. I can't find it on my thing here on my phone.
Does anyone else have it? I don't either. James, do you? Will you give it that quote?
Yeah.
I saw it last week. It came in.
Yeah.
Find it.
There you go. Thank you.
Oh,
That's-
good. Thanks, James.
Thank you, Lisa. Oh, thanks, James.
Oh,
And this is all paying by prevailing wage too.
Yeah, we have to do prevailing wage.
Right, this is all in total conformity of the town's procurement policies.
Well,
Yep.
they've already been vetted through the town's procurement policy, this particular landscaper. That's why we're using them.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I said. They're totally already in compliance with the town's procurement policy.
Right, same thing we do with payloaders and everything like that. We work
Right.
off,
It's a contract.
right. So,
They do very good work. Ed sees some of the work they do in Hampton Bays. He mentioned,
Yes,
Ed recommended them, said
Ed-
that they were very good.
yeah,
Do they work-
they're,
Sorry, go ahead.
they do all the landscape mediums in Hampton Bays. They do excellent work. They really do.
oh,
So,
that's,
I mean,
uh,
I
down
see
by-
them weekly, cleaning, mowing, and prepping everything.
is
Do
that
they have it?
Flanders Road by Macy's there?
Yes, I believe they
Oh.
do that. They do the one by the Out of the Blue also. So,
Okay, looks good.
yes.
Do they have experience with native plants?
Yeah,
Because
they do it all, and they do all types of landscaping, these guys. They're very well versed in all of this stuff.
okay, because it's just, the native plants are pretty specific, and the rain garden at Lake Agawam has come back really well. And I just, hope that they've been vetted as far as having worked with native species
Yes.
and so
Well,
forth.
Well,
That
the
rain,
problem that there might be people who have small landscaping businesses on the side and know how to do this stuff, but they would have to fill out all the paperwork for prevailing wage. They'd have to have insurance. They'd have to be a legitimate business. And I mean, they could be registered with the town also, but that's the situation we're in these days, that the town gets gets bids, sends out bids, and these companies, this company actually has won the bid, and that's who we're supposed to use.
The company what planted it in, they were interested in doing it, but they don't pay prevailing wage, and he doesn't want to get involved in it.
Mhm.
He's still,
Do you think maybe we could have, that was Tony Piazza,
Yes.
who did the original planting. Do you think we could have this company just speak with Tony,
yeah, they can talk. That's
just
something.
to advise? That'd be
Yeah.
great, because Tony's a wealth of information. There's a
Yeah.
really successful rain garden in East Hampton, in the middle of the, right near Town Pond. There's another one going in. He planted both of those, or will be planting the second. So that would be
Well-
great if he could consult just casually on
Well, there's
this.
a specific scope of work listed on this.
yeah, there
There's a
is.
specific scope of work that's listed on here. Cutting back dead stalks. You can
Right.
read it just like I can
It's
read it.
simple
So
landscaping.
yeah,
and-
I would
and-
think, they're not going
No.
to be engaging in adding to or
Yeah,
replacing or anything other than this maintenance work, right?
right.
That's
If
it.
they were
This
gonna
is the
add,
scope.
if they were gonna add or do anything beyond the scope, they'd have to consult us first. And then
Right.
we would have to appropriate the budget accordingly. But
Right.
one thing that has to really be recognized, Sandy and Irene, the majority of those plants that survived those two storms are very limited to the original plantings that were done in that garden. There were probably, it's less than a quarter of the original plantings that have survived these two storms. And we
Right.
really haven't increased the plantings other than what the Conservancy did last year because of the potential for overwash from the ocean.
Mhm. The Conservancy did a significant planting though last year, and hopefully some of those plants are salt tolerant, which was not the case with the plantings that were submerged basically after
Yes.
Irene and Sandy, right?
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was-
There was 3 feet of water there, so nothing really, only what is there that survived before the Conservancy re-vegged last year survived. So that's why we really haven't added to anything there, because it's you can spend tens of thousands of dollars with these plants and have one storm like that and literally wipe them all out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So nature has shown us what plants are going to survive. So that's
Mhm.
Right.
courage there. Okay.
And because we're limited to the watering, we can't use the water from Agawam because of the blue-green algae and the vapors that come off of when you use the water. That's why it was so limited there. All
Okay.
right, Bill, looks good.
Good.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
And I
Thank
believe it's a
you.
little bit cheaper than the price we had gotten for the last couple of years, correct? From the other
Yeah,
provider?
it's basically in a ballpark, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay, let's move on to these other general permit applications for determination. What do you want to put up first, James?
But you want to do 100
There's-
Cold Spring demo?
There's one
The
more
what?
discussion, Eric.
One more discussion.
Oh, not on my agenda, but anyway, what does it say?
It's a
What do you
100 Cold Spring demo of outbuilding.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Gotten the amended agenda, Eric. If you don't have it, I can resend it.
All right, don't worry about it. Don't worry
Okay.
about it. Okay.
I don't have it on mine either.
Okay.
The Bay Constables have asked if we, if they could demo this, the maintenance could demo it because they're having trouble with people keep on breaking it into it. And I always wish that we could fix it up and make it a park. But I don't think the building's too far gone and it just has it. I like to see that maybe we could, at the same time they demo it, if they could put a stockade fence up, not stockade, a
Split rail.
split rail fence out by the road with maybe 4 or 5 car spaces for the parked cars and a path going down to the bulkhead so they can launch kayaks and canoes and people go down clamming there and that people do the oyster garden there.
Mhm.
Right now it's pretty bad, the building.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I had inquired, as you were thinking, if there was any possibility of refurbishing the building, because what I don't know if I didn't look to see, or I don't even know if there is a permit for this building. I'm just concerned if we take it down, if we'll ever be able to build something else, because it would be great to have storage down there for aquaculture for whomever is doing it there. I don't know.
I think it would
Is that-
probably be cheaper to take it apart, and if you need something in the future, you drop in a prefabricated building. Just
The
something.
problem that we've incurred down there for many years is that we have a chain across the 2 entrance points, and a lot of people that had the key to the chain would leave it open. People, landscapers would go down there and illegally dump. There were TVs, couches. There was a homeless person living in that building a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's the liability of it being there is, potentially not good for us or for anybody. So I think we should take it down. And if we were going to do something there, it would want to be stored further away from the wetlands and upland out of harm's way. And, like Bill said, putting up 5 or 6 parking spots, designating them as a trustee access point would be a good way to get the community to use that area. In a perfect world, if we could open up the gates and have people drive down there, it would be nice. But the problem is if they're not closed, then we're going to incur a liability of having people dump stuff there and to pick it up. So I think getting rid of the building.
It's too isolated. You can't see the building from the road. That's the problem.
Right. And it's, I've been down there several times where there's been literally dump trucks full of landscaping debris. And one time I was down there was a couch, a TV, and an old oven that was dumped there. So, it's a real tough area. I mean, it's a beautiful area, but, we can't be picking up everybody's garbage.
Right.
I agree on that.
Yeah, I agree. Take it down.
And it was put there by the electrical union probably back in the 50s.
Oh, really? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that
okay.
was where the canoes used to be they used to have about 30 canoes down there, and they would have them all rafted up in racks in that area. And, I was down there clamming back in the 80s. There would be a dozen or 15 canoes out there with kids on them paddling around the pond from the electrical union.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Eric,
Yes.
do we need a resolution and a demo permit to take it down?
Oh, I don't know. We have to ask Sean about that.
Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Try and put that on for your next meeting, June 7th.
Okay. Sounds good.
Good.
Okay. So we good to go into general permit applications now? Lisa?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so James, whatever you want to put up first. Lucille Bronson Irrevocable Trust. This is for dock permit. We've kind of looked at this before. I think Ed's probably familiar with it. It's down on the western side of Pond Point.
Yep.
And then there's that angular bulkhead that sits out there and really does nothing. It's got water on both sides, but that's adjoining property.
So they want to run a
You're
float.
outside. 4x35 elevated fixed dock with through float, 8-inch piles, install a 3x12 seasonal ramp and 6x20 seasonal float. I checked the water depth. It looks good. Talked to the contractor down there, and we did some depth measurements to make sure. These people, the people to the on the plan as you see it, the people to the right do not have access on the water there.
Okay.
So it's not going to interfere with anybody.
Do we have the applicant's agent on the meeting?
Charles, is Agena on DKR Shores?
Coming in.
Okay, good.
Morning.
All right.
Hi there.
Hi.
As you can see, as far as I can see on the plans, that person owns. Describe that angled section.
That triangle,
Right.
that word.
Right.
Bermuda
That's just an
Triangle.
old dilapidated bulkhead, that we're just letting it remain at this point. Originally, he wanted the dock actually over that to sort of make that area useful.
Mhm.
But the DEC made us, move it, where you see it now. So what you're seeing right now is as per DEC's recommendations, and I already have all of the other permits necessary.
And the property owners on the right-hand side of the property, the east side of the property, they don't have access to the water, correct?
There's a dock next door. There's a brand new vinyl bulkhead adjacent. And
Right.
they have their own dock.
Right. But further down, they own
Like
that.
towards the road, no, there's no access waterfront.
Right. Right. So it's not going to.
Some of these are flag lots, like this one's a flag lot.
Mhm.
So the other flag lot does not have, the house that you see with the dock that has, it's pulled, that's where the dock is. So the house that is south of them, is not, they do not have legal access.
It's a landlocked piece of
Through,
property.
Right,
correct.
so not going to interfere with anybody's navigation there. So.
No. And the dock is specifically designed to not interfere with navigation and,
Right. Right.
or
I
to
don't see-
traverse any other tidal wetlands, et cetera, et cetera. So it's in sort of the smallest area of beach, or there's no vegetation particularly right there.
Right.
So it's designed, with the required 10-foot setback, where it should be to meet the minimum required soundings.
Right.
For depth.
I don't see any problem with it. I've walked out there with the waders and confirmed depth measurements. So.
Yeah, those were done by sea level.
Would it be possible to, I'm curious about where the storage will be of the float in the dock. So would it be possible to put language on the plans in the cover sheet that it would be stored upland, so not in wetlands?
It probably already says that. Let me
Maybe it
look.
says it on the plans, but I didn't see it on the cover sheet.
Oh, okay.
That'd be great, Agena, if we could do that.
Sure.
I think usually it has in one of the special conditions on our permit, uplands out of the
Yeah.
wetlands
He
vegetation.
has
Should be in
plenty of
standard
room
wording.
under the house, so everything, he's got plenty of room upland. where
Right.
there's no vegetation right now. So there's plenty of storage area there.
If you had to put the.
Oh,
we
it is in the language in the plans.
Oh,
We have-
great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it is. It's on there.
Okay,
To be
We
stored
have a-
in upland
Okay.
Got it.
efficiency.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the plans.
We have a set of special conditions. They had to put that on the front sheet of the plan. It'd be 3 pages long. So yes, that's covered in there. Okay, so I'd like to move this to the regular session, advance this.
I'm good.
Okay,
yes.
okay. You want to do Tanner's next?
Joel Berger?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, so as you recall, last time we were discussing this, Ed and I had some concerns about the water depth, however, we thought it was a lot shallower there. And I went down there, I believe, at that super low tide last week. And the dimensions at the end of the dock are 36 inches where the post is, where they set the marker out. So it conforms to the survey and it reaches adequate depth. So I don't have any problems with it.
That's where the old Bay Club used to be, right, Eric?
Right, right.
Yes.
But I thought it was a lot shallower there for some reason. It's deep. It falls off pretty fast.
Yeah, but just west of that, there's a huge flat, so I guess maybe it was dredged
Yeah.
years ago.
I don't know. Yeah, but it's
All right.
not like a trench. It's fairly level. So
Okay,
I went out there with the waders and then confirmed the measurements. So it's good.
all
And
right.
they're looking for what here? Floating dock and catwalk?
Yeah.
So I'd like to
Okay.
move this forward.
Do we need pass and repass steps on this dock, or can they go underneath it? I'm just curious because I know people do walk along the beach there.
Yeah, I imagine so. Most of the time it's going to be it's going to have water.
Okay,
Not that much of a beach anymore. So we can move that forward with those requirements.
You want pass and repass on the plans and the cover sheet, right?
Sure, sounds good.
yeah, that'd be good.
James, we're getting a new cover sheet.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You want to do 274? Is it final?
Baymore Club, yes. So Ed, you're probably familiar with this one also. It's just west of the West Bay Bridge there. It's that big club. It's a
Yes.
large section that they have in front of their properties there. It's an old deteriorating bulkhead. It's still somewhat functional, but it's starting to, it gets overtopped basically at every high tide. And there's a lot of fetch in there. So it's digging in and forcing the sand, pushing the sand up further. And what they want to do is they want to raise it 18 inches. That's what the DEC has said, to 18 inches. You got Glenn Just, I went down there with him yesterday. We took a look at the site. What they're going to do, what they're proposing to do is backfill and replant with patents and beach grass, and tie into the higher bulkheads on each side that have been raised and approved by us before.
Okay,
Quite a substantial amount of beach grass behind it. But the problem is that it's a very low bulkhead, and every time that you can see the tide at high tide, it's right over the top of it all the time. It's just not functioning anymore. Correctly.
Could we see the aerial, please? What's on either side of it?
There's a parking lot on the one side with a bulkhead. The next property to the west is a higher bulkhead. And the next property to the east is a higher bulkhead approved by us several years ago. It's a vinyl bulkhead.
So we're matching up the higher bulkheads.
Yes. You can, if you go out, you can see that out even further. That it just comes right through there and blows through, and it's a very exposed location with that point out there, and it's just a tremendous amount of it. As far as it's the way it is right now, is that the sand is all exposed, and it's just marl and gravel now, the old bog and stuff like that. That's being exposed. So it's one of the last of that area. You see the amount of sand that they've lost out there is all forming out in that like delta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any eelgrass there?
None.
There hasn't been eelgrass there since the 1980s.
Yeah.
Actually, there was never any eelgrass along there.
Really? Why?
No. In my lifetime, that was the overwash from the 60 storm, the Easter storm. A lot of this area got terribly overwashed, and these were, maybe there was eelgrass prior to that, but the water quality has always been very poor in this area.
Right.
So I don't think eelgrass has a chance to really, take root because of the poor turbidity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, further to the west, the eelgrass is starting to come back, like down by West Hampton Dunes. It's getting pretty thick there. And it's working its way eastward, but slowly.
Yeah, that's where it's like a curtain. From Spionk Point east, the water quality never really gets good, and from Spionk Point west, the water quality is better and it's cooler. So it's like Shinnecock, Western Shinnecock.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you got Moneybogue Bay, which warms up pretty substantially, and when it flows out, it heats everything up. Yep. So I'd like to move this along too.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it Gina still on?
I'm still here.
All right, Gina, we got a bunch of applications for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have Philippe and Jane Moggio, 5 Quogue Street.
Yes. It's a 100-foot elevated catwalk. There's some area of intertidal as well as some high marsh in the area. And an extension of the walk 75-foot landward, even though technically not jurisdiction of the trustees. I'm obligated to include the entire project in the description. So
Right. 5 Quogue Street. It's on Quantock Bay.
yeah,
Yes.
it's the old, it's just adjacent to the old Sand Acres subdivision. So it's property just south.
Which one is it? Which one is it?
That one that's highlighted in red. Do you see it up right now?
Yeah, just
James has it up.
bring that up. Closer if you can.
So it's kind of like a little circular,
Yep, I know that house.
saltwater pond there. There's already a path to the water.
Yep.
Right. Well, how far is the dock going to extend into Quantock?
From the mean low water mark, 100 feet. I'm sorry. 100 feet. So that dimension is actually on the plans.
We have a pier line. We have a pier line in Quantock Bay, 50 foot as far as I was concerned. We've held people pretty strict to that.
Is
Correct.
what dimension?
There's
Yeah,
a
but pier
50-foot pier line.
50?
Mm-hmm.
I won't be able to get to depth though.
You can check the I think the last one that we had right down there that was right close was the the dock application of Padraic Smith. That was, took a lot of depth measurements down there. That was probably back about 15 years ago.
Property to the north has a
Yes.
dock with
Yes,
a
off the
float.
bulkhead.
They have enough water there.
Probably not, but that's, pre-existing, non-conforming, potentially.
It could have been placed in before
Seasonal.
our
Yeah.
rules and regulations were initiated in this
Oh, yeah,
area.
that's there a long time before that. It's the old Erickson play.
The only place in Quantic
they-
I know is on the south side that we amended the pier line. Everywhere else, I believe it's 50 feet, Eric.
Can we double check that, James, with the blue book? I mean, it should be in the blue book, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It says Quantic.
Does it say bay or does it say creek?
Quantic Bay. I've gone through this.
Quantic Bay, 50 feet in length from the average high water line.
From the high water.
I have lots of experience on this one, and the dock right to the south of that. That's what it was.
No, I got it. Glad we're discussing it now.
Mhm.
Well, everything's still pending with all the other agencies. So I'll advise the client and we'll go back to the drawing board.
Get you back to like that, I don't know. It's hard to see these depths are kind of small, these glasses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to draw it. I will
There
have
you go.
to
Thank you.
get the
Mhm.
50,
Pull it back.
take the
There's a-
average between the high water. And then they may only be able to get a walkway without a float. So we'll see.
Or jet skis.
Right, or a PWC float. So I'll physically have to draw this to play with it a little.
I believe a PWC float, you need 18 inches of water.
18
at low tide.
inches. Right. Okay. Let me, like I said, let me play with it. I have to physically draw it and
Okay.
see where I'm at.
So
Okay.
hold this one.
Yes, please.
Hold that one.
Yes.
Thanks, Agina.
No problem. I'll
Don't
stay
go
on.
anywhere, Gina.
I'm staying on.
You got 25 Leeward Lane.
Oh, you put that one on? I don't have that one in front of me.
You got, it's,
But that's just a
in,
bulkhead reconstruction.
yeah, in reconstruction, 220 foot,
Oh, I see it.
28 feet of bulkhead with vinyl sheet piling, same height, steps down to remain, and a new 10-foot vinyl return on the east side.
Correct.
Reconstruct 741 square foot of timber walks, reinstall the boat lift. Going to do a non-turf 10-foot buffer of beach grass, 12 inches on center, and all the materials to be untreated.
Correct.
So this-
It's a basic.
It's
Run of
this
the mill.
one, yeah. Yeah, I think this one meets your blue book tests in every way. And it's nice that you're gonna do a nice buffer there and you're gonna put new material. You're not changing your elevations. I think this one is fine.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I think this
Okay.
one can advance.
Hmm.
To advance now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You also have 15 Ogden. Are you ready for that one, Agina?
Yes. That's David Kepner's daughter's property.
I'm sorry?
That's David Kepner's daughter's property.
Dock reconstruction in place of existing 4x70 elevated catwalk, 3x12 ramp, 6x20 float, new 4x6 ramp or stairs at landward terminus due to height elevation, through flow decking to be used, catwalk to be raised to 4 foot over existing marsh, all untreated materials.
Yes. It's pre-existing.
Is there a pier line on the pond?
No.
No.
Do you have the old permits for it, or are there old permits?
You know what? I looked, James, exhaustively, and I couldn't find anything, but I know that dock has been there for years, 70s.
Did you tear a house down?
They reconstructed a new house. Yeah, there was a house there.
Who is the
The one
former,
that is right now.
Former
They're still
owner.
working on it.
who is the former owner? know?
It was David Kepner. He gave it to his daughter.
Before that, you have
I
anybody?
couldn't, I don't know. I would have to do some title searching.
That looks familiar.
Yeah, I know this dock has been there though. That long.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not as long as some of the others.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some of the
that's-
other ones are pretty extensive.
The one to the north.
The one to the north is really long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but-
that's because it starts getting shallower towards the north.
Yeah, as you first come in Ogden Pond, it's pretty deep from the canal.
Yep.
But every other one further up is shorter. And there's 5, 6, 7 on either side.
Depends on what.
Now, I don't have DEC's review back on this. So they could ask me for changes. So if you want to hold it over, just because I really would prefer having their review. So I only have to change the plans one time.
Okay.
Well, you're not gonna run into eelgrass or navigational issues because it's.
No,
the
it's
dock is,
just,
the channel is in the middle of the pond, so
Yeah.
people would have to motor out. So I mean, it would be, it looks to me like an approvable project as it.
yeah.
is
It
shown
doesn't get
here.
it doesn't get any deeper. I mean, I had Bob Fox go out even further. I didn't show all the soundings on there, but I did provide the hydrographic map. And it doesn't get deeper. It's pretty much where it is right now is the deepest spot.
Okay.
So, I
Did
mean,
look
if you
like an
wanted
approval
to,
project.
I don't think the DEC will have a problem with it because it did pre-exist 77. I mean, so if you wanted to approve it, say that's fine.
But it's 10, 12 inches at the inside edge of the float, right?
Right, it's about 1.5 feet of water.
James, could we see the hydrograph
So,
survey?
so
Oh,
Ed, you can testify. Is there any shellfish up in there?
Well, it's uncertified.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
uncertified.
those
There's no
words are-
eelgrass in there.
Murky,
Question.
there's no shellfish.
It's pretty mucky in there.
No, there is virtually no shellfish in this pond.
Hmm.
I mean, you could just a fixed catwalk for that same length and you would, because a float in there is, it's really, I thought it was 2.5. Now that I scroll out, it's only 1.5. So it wouldn't, there's no ability for them to get a float in that shallow of the water, right?
it's going to sit on the bottom the whole time.
Even if you chalk it, it's gonna sit on the bottom.
Yeah, it would be better just to have a fixed catwalk in there for that same length. And that would, way you could tie the boat up with a ladder down. I mean, that's what
I
we've done.
will have to discuss it with David Kepner. And like I said, I would prefer to get DEC's.
I mean, if
You
you,
back
Is it-
if
as
you
well?
use that easy dock type, those easy dock type floats, I still think you won't be sitting on the bottom with that.
I think a PWC float would sit on the bottom. But like I said, I don't have a.
Yeah, PWC float at 1.5, you'd be allowed that.
Yeah.
Right. I think the plastic, sort of docking systems, they float in that shallower water. I
They don't
think you're gonna
draft
touch
that
them
much
on-
water, right,
Right.
Scott?
So
Right.
I think
They're not
something
near
like
as
that would
heavy.
work.
Okay. Let me, can we hold it over, please? Like I
Sure.
said, I really
Yeah,
need to get the seats.
That's what
conditions.
that's what work sessions are for, Gina.
Yep, thanks. I knew it was kind of questionable, so he's already been forewarned.
Yeah.
for the whole-
I'll step off to let First Coastal go on. The next one.
Yeah, the next one I have is Billy Mack or Aram on board here for the meeting? Anyone from First Coastal?
Nope.
First
Greg
Coastal
Jacobs
has,
and Daphne. Those are the only two people in.
Hampton Point. What we got?
okay, so you have an application to remove existing concrete debris, wood debris, wire fence from the shoreline to dispose of off-site and construct a living shoreline rock revetment, approximately 165 square feet, cover with approximately 50 cubic yards of clean beach compatible sand, and plant with American beach grass 12 inches on center. Plant beach landward of revetment up to existing vegetation line, approximately 300 square feet with American beach grass, also 12 inches on center.
Yeah, show where that is, in the
It's Hampton Point.
scheme of things, yeah.
Yeah.
How far down?
Oops. It's the one in red.
It's about halfway to Sunset Avenue, right?
It's like right next.
Right,
to
right,
It is
right.
up against the bulkheaded property.
Right.
They've got some rocks up against the bulkhead to try and, I guess, soften.
Yeah, I think we've issued on the two other pieces to higher up there that we've issued some sort of rocks there. It gets a lot of wave action there too.
Right.
Well, it's got an easterly fetch all the way from the Boncork Bridge.
Yeah, it's
So
decent
it's-
there. They still have a good beach. They've had a lot of in the past constructed small, short bulkheads, like retaining walls there. That's kept everything under control. But yeah, I know that property.
It looks like a good project.
Uh-huh.
So where is the rock revetment to go?
It's showing on the screen right now.
Right,
Yeah.
so,
Along fade.
so it's right along the toe, like basically replacing where the rocks are now.
I mean, really, for a lot of these questions, I think it would be more appropriate to have the applicant's agent here to answer these questions, right?
Agreed.
We're just working off of the plans that they've submitted. So I
Right.
think any pointed questions like that, I think really the project should go on hold. James, I think you did notify them that they were on with this project for today, correct?
Yes, Lisa sends the
Zoom link. I sent it to
Yes.
Billy Mack and I can't remember who the other person is in that office.
Do you have
So
any, James, do you have any pictures of the existing conditions down there that they send that in?
Yep.
Would it be,
Billy Mack, we're talking about you. Where are you?
You there, Billy Mack?
I'm in Gin Lane.
You're supposed to be on a Zoom. Talking
I'm
about,
supposed to be on the Zoom. Oh, Jesus.
hey, Scott. Hey,
Yes.
Scott. I got Billy Mack on the phone right now.
Well,
Tell
does Billy want to click on the Zoom app and log into this thing from where he's at? I can hear him on the phone and speak to his project. Perhaps the board has some questions concerning 23 Bayside Avenue.
It's on 23 Bayside Avenue, East Quogue.
I can resend him the Zoom link.
Oh, that's the, I didn't see that on the schedule. I didn't even look at the schedule. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'll
right,
resend it.
Or would you like me to put it on hold?
Push it to the end and I'll jump on a Zoom and join you guys.
Well, we don't have a giant agenda for permits here.
You don't
Jerry,
have a
but-
big agenda. Yeah, I didn't see it.
We have two more after this one.
Okay.
We can do that. We could put this.
Essentially, it's I don't know if anybody's seen that site, but
Yeah,
there's,
I went to the site.
old
But
stone
Billy,
put there, right at the water line, and we're looking to just add to that because it's right at the edge of an existing bulkhead, and the guy gets some erosion during storms. So we're looking to do a simple rock wall.
Billy, if it would be okay, I think what we should do is let's do Trustee Warner's two applications.
Yeah.
That should give you a little bit of time to jump, perhaps, you can get on the Zoom and then you could officially handle this.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes
Let's do that because we'll get this done with.
Yes, let's let Ed do his two and then jump on the Zoom. And then when we get done with his two, we'll go to you. How about that?
okay. What time would that be? Do you think?
Probably in about 10 minutes.
yeah.
All right, I'll do it from my truck in a couple minutes.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go to your truck and log in now.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Billy Mack.
Okay, talk to you in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right, so let's just let's let
Yeah.
Ed do his and then we'll give
Yep.
him time because I would rather him answer the board's questions.
Yeah, let's get it
officially.
over with. Let's move things along.
But
So
yes,
Ellen Jacobs is next.
with technology, you can do these sort of things. So let's
Mhm.
take advantage of it.
Yep. Ellen Jacobs, Ed Warner.
Oops, hold on.
Write down your questions for Billy Ann.
And back on.
Okay.
This is basically a reconstruction, existing, pre-existing with permit, number 2094, of a dock that was actually there before the bulkhead and the stone armor were actually installed. So the dock was there prior to that work being done. I did propose a catwalk that's 4 feet instead of 3, or whatever it is, 2.5. Right now it's very hazardous. It's very dangerous. It's only 2.5 feet wide. The ramp is only 2 feet wide. The current dock, even though it's usable, is actually underwater half the time during storm tides and super high moon tides. So we're obviously, when we do a new dock, it's going to be level and elevated as
Yep.
required, 4 feet above grade, because there's intertidal marsh there. So I was asked by the trustees to maintain a 10-foot offset from the hypothetical property line. So I played with a couple of different renditions, and none of them seem to really work. The float kind of has to be, because it's right at the point, the float needs to be in a consistent direction with the flood and the ebb, and currently it is right now. So angling the dock is not really an option. Relocating the dock is not really a great option either, because there is cord grass there, and I am obligated to maintain the dock in current location to reduce any disturbance to the existing vegetation. So re-angling it and or relocating the pier isn't really an option either. It isn't an option. It's not a great option. It's an option that most likely would be rejected by the DEC.
Can you make it?
L-shaped.
Well,
Exactly.
I did approach that with the owner. And if I had moved the float over to an L, the ramp would literally be right at the edge of the dock. And the owner is not okay with that because for safety concerns, you could just fall right off, the edge of the slope. I need a little more room. I need at least 2 or 3 feet for the L, like how it is right now, but in reverse.
Yeah.
So I could move it a little bit, but I still can't make the 10 offset. I could make like 6 if we just move the float dock over to reverse the L. It's a possibility, but I'm still not going to make the 10 if I do that.
Well, that's kind of up to us. It's not.
It is up to you.
What's the safety concern? I don't understand.
James, can you put an overhead shot on this property?
Yeah,
What is the safety concern?
If the owner doesn't want the ramp literally right in the edge of the float. So I need a couple of feet.
Well, it is now on the opposite direction. That's what we're asking for. We're asking to move the
I
dock
could do it. I could shift the float a little bit, but I'm still not going to make the 10-foot. I think the owner would be okay with the float shifting to be exactly in the same angle as it is right now, but just shifted to the east. But I still can't make the 10. I could probably make 6 feet, but I can't get out of the 10-foot offset just by moving the float. I played with this drawing all morning, and I cannot, just by shifting the float east, I cannot make the 10-foot offset.
Even if
Okay.
you
I could
angled,
move it a little. No, I can't angle the whole dock.
But it's not any longer than the other docks in the character of the area. What's the problem?
No, it's, I can't make the 10-foot offset with
It
just
doesn't meet
moving the
the
float.
extended property line.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, he's got to be 10 foot off of that, right?
Well, that's up to
Well, it's
us.
pre-existing
law.
non-conforming. It works the way it is right now. And by the way, just back up just a smidge. I have approvals from the DEC, the Corps of Engineers, and Department of State. With this, a letter of coordination, I've gone out to the adjacent owner on the west side for comment. And with my business card, I personally sent him a certified mail. And I got no comments back from that owner, objections or otherwise, to the reconstruction of the stock as it is right now.
I mean, I think moving it to the east and making it L-shaped in that direction would require almost what we need to have done.
Almost. I mean, I can't get out of the 10, Ed, but I could probably make, I could move it a little bit, but I can't get out of that 10-foot offset. So if that's okay with you, I could certainly discuss that with the owner.
Is it in fact a safety concern to have the ramp intersect right at the edge of the float?
Right. That's what we don't want. I mean, I could move it a couple of feet, but I can't move it. If I moved it totally out of the 10-foot offset, the ramp would literally be on the edge of the float, which is not safe. I need at least 2.5 feet, 2.5 to 3 feet.
The edge of the float, but that doesn't make sense, because if you had the dock coming out and then you made an L shaped
Right.
ramp.
It would be, I could move it.
You'd have 20 feet of space on the dock for that ramp to hang on. It wouldn't be hanging on the edge. This way, you only have the ramp sitting on 4 feet.
Yeah.
So it's actually safer to have it come down on the lengthwise section of the dock. You understand what I mean? If you take at the end of the dock that you have, make the ramp do an L, and then the ramp goes down to the dock, and it has a whole 20 feet to ride on. The whole length of that dock.
Do you mean the ramp in a different configuration? I'm not sure what you mean.
The ramp comes out as an L.
I don't think I wouldn't get to the depth. I would be hitting the bottom of the float. If I made the ramp an L, then the float would come in to be able to, do you know what I mean?
Well, you'd have to come out you'd have to make the length of the dock longer and then go to the east. You'd have to have the ramp, the deck, and the fixed catwalk
longer.
Come out to the outer edge of the float, that length, and then you make an L, and then you go down to the ramp, down to the float. And
I would have to draw it to really see, or that's an option I didn't think about. I mean, I thought about re-angling it. I thought about moving the float. I thought about a lot of stuff, like shortening the fixed dock a little bit, lengthening the ramp, shifting things over. I'd like to have the owner, if he's on, weigh in with whether or not he would be okay with if I can work it out with the ramp being at an L. So as in parallel to the bulkhead, and then the actual dock, I would have to go back to all the other agencies and revise.
It's actually safer because you're having the ramp go right towards the center of gravity, the middle of the float, instead of hanging on the end of the float. And it has a greater ability to adjust with the tides because you have that 20-foot slide there. And you just walk down the end of the float and then walk between the ramp and the edge of the float. I mean, it's done all the time down there in Remsenburg. That's the way they have to do it down there because of the tremendous tide ranges that they have.
Right. Could you ask the owner if he's on? I'm not sure if he's even on.
Yes, we are on.
We're here. Greg, do you understand what he's asking? I would have to draw it to really show you.
You're bringing the suggestion is to bring the fixed dock out to the western end
Right.
of
Correct.
the floating dock and then have a ramp that goes east from the
Yes.
Correct.
dock.
Right.
Right.
We haven't thought about that. I mean, given this location, as you're probably aware, we get a lot of tidal move in and out into this pond
Yep.
with every tide. Okay.
Mhm.
And we get a lot of current. Okay. Adding more structure there, I'm not sure that does a whole lot. I'm not an engineer, obviously. You just made this suggestion.
Yeah, and I would have to go back to all the other agencies again, and I'm not sure they'd be okay with it either, because there's other options.
We don't
Making the
recommend.
dock shorter to get to the required depth. They generally only let me make a dock to be able to get out there the length. So I don't think they'd be okay with lengthening a dock where it's not necessary.
The float would be the same. The float would be the same depth.
I know, but if this is how the DEC thinks, it's less is more. So this morning, I mean, Greg and I, we went back and forth with some other options. And there was one other option that I squeaked by. What I did was I relocated the existing fixed dock to the east by 1 foot. I reduced the length of the catwalk by 3.8 feet. And I was able to move the float, keeping the same angle. And I was out of the 10 foot. So I would like to, I don't know if you'll let me share. I have it on my desktop.
Yeah, I mean, if you could acquire that, that would be, that's
Let
what
me
we're.
exit my full screen.
What's there as far as,
Bring it out.
sorry.
I'm
What's
sorry,
there
go
as
ahead.
what's there as far as vegetation, both
There's cord grass.
intertidal
Yes.
and submerged?
No,
No,
I'm
just
just
intertidal cord
Okay.
grass.
Okay, I'm just looking
Wait, hold on,
for
this
the
is-
disruption that would
that's not the
occur
right
as
one.
a,
Hold on. Hold on a second. I would have to bring my drawing up. Can you see my screen?
No.
not yet.
All right, hold on 1 second. Oops. I got the right one.
Ed, do you really have a problem
Hold
with
on.
this
Hold on 1 second.
proposed in the first place?
Share.
Other than the extended property line, which we've been
All right.
holding everybody
Can-
to a pretty much that standard.
Can you see
No.
my
You got to maintain consistency.
can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I actually have my cat up right now. As you can see where the existing wood walk is right now, I shifted the dock very minimally, 1 foot. With this, keep in mind that I would probably need to include the new wood walk that goes to the road and add that to the project description, because that's going to have to probably be done anyway, honestly. I shortened the fixed dock by 3.8 feet. I kept the ramp the same, 3 by 10. The float is still the same, 6 by 20. And I was able to shift it in a reverse L to the east. And I made the 10 feet. So this was my best option.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Okay. All right, as long as you're okay with moving the dock a foot. But I think that's because the area is already disturbed. I think a foot is not going to be a big deal. I think, 2 or 3 feet, that's a big deal.
No,
Right,
but
I think I could do a foot.
You have the water depth, you have the dock in the right area off the extended property line, so I think that would probably work the best.
Okay, I'd like to, Greg, are you listening? You here?
Yeah, hi.
Okay. I'd like to, if you don't mind, replace this wood walk. Can you see my cursor?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
include this in the project description. So we have a clear line with the wood walk going onto the dock. And it would just look so much better, and that woodwalk is not in great shape
Well,
right now anyway.
A
do you
couple
think?
things. Okay. First of all, I guess this is a solution that's just come up this morning. The existing conditions there, okay, once you get up in the bulkhead, okay, we're very sensitive to this area in that it's only 20, 25 feet to the road. We've got a variety of different red cedar trees planted in there that are on the east side of that wood walk. Just going and saying, let's just move the wood walk may require us to pull out some cedar trees, okay? And when you look at that whole corner there, you see there's a wing wall, there's some gabions, et cetera, et cetera. We're sensitive to that area to make sure that that vegetation stays rooted in there, okay? And we've been through this before with some other things on this property, but you know, it's not shown on there. And you know, before I'd say let's do something like this, I'd like to take a look at the conditions out there to
Sure.
make sure that, you know,
Yep.
that would walk. And that's not part of what we're asking today, but I mean, that's one of the, I guess that's a secondary ramification. If we say, let's move the wood walk, I don't know if we want to go cutting down some cedar trees. They're probably 4 to 6 inches in diameter.
No, you don't want to do
Well,
that.
you
got
don't have to replace the wood walk. I was just suggesting it.
Well,
no,
why
I'm
don't,
saying-
why don't
We're
we
just
put it
saying
on
that would be
hold and
cause another
do our
problem.
research?
Okay.
I mean, you guys got some questions. We have some questions. I think a little bit more research, you know, tearing up the upland to get what we need in the bay is not such a good option either. So why don't we do our research? I'll put this on hold and then come back at our next work session with it, okay?
Yeah, in the meantime, you know, Mr. Jacobs can look on site and, you know, with measuring tape or whatever,
Yep.
you know, and see a foot or so difference, if that's gonna make a deal or not.
Okay,
We also need to be careful on the other side towards the east because we have a neighbor's boat there, and with the currents, it's very difficult. We have to make a big, you know, kind of a U-turn coming in the inlet to dock the boat. And so we have to make sure we leave enough room for the boat to blow and not hit their boat there on their dock.
Yeah, what Ellen is saying is, you know, this is just the practical side of boating. When we come in here and you know there's lots of winds in this area, and when you need a current coming in or going out, and you're trying to stop a boat there, it can get to be a little precarious at times. And trust me, I made a fool of myself landing a few times. So the currents really do cause some problems there. So the further east we move it, you know, we are encroaching on the next dock, and it just makes the whole navigation of bringing your boat in a little more challenging. So I thought that out, not a,
all right.
not a
How
killer.
far are you talking about moving this thing?
Pardon me?
How
8
far is
feet.
it that we were, how many?
8 feet, right,
Shifting it,
Gina?
yes.
What,
You guys, we all gonna do our homework and we're gonna reschedule this for the next work session.
yeah,
It's
in the
not- I don't
meantime,
think
I
it's
can plot
big
the other
lift here.
dots.
Yep,
All right.
Okay,
All right, let's hold it over.
Thank you.
all right,
Thanks.
thank you,
I think
Gina.
I'm done. Am I done? Yeah, I'm
You
done.
are, Gina.
That's-
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Ed, you got Carol DeAndrea, Daphne Vaughan. 17 Canal Way, Hampton Bays.
Daphne, are you on?
I'm here.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Good morning.
Good.
Morning.
So this was one that we discussed, I guess a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month and a half ago.
Yep.
It's a bulkhead replacement and a dock replacement in place with some dredging. The board seemed to have no issues with the project, but asked for some additional beach grass plantings
Yes,
on the lagoon side. So I did bring that back to my client, and he is amenable to doing those plantings. So we have revised the plans to show that additional 10 by 25 foot area along the canal side of the property. And I submitted a revised application as well as the plans showing that.
It should be a good project then.
Yeah, it'd be a really good project. So it sounds like it's ready to go. Right, James?
Yep,
Right.
All right.
you got everything that you guys needed, so.
Yep.
Good
All right,
project.
let's move it forward then.
Okay.
Good job, Daphne.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Daphne.
Anytime.
Okay. At Billy Mack up on deck now.
Try again.
He's
Oh,
in.
there we are. Hello, how are you guys?
Hello,
doing?
Billy Mack.
Hey, Bill.
Happy Monday. Thank you. I'm just getting used to your Monday schedule, but I appreciate the time that you guys do it. Thank you.
23 Bayside Avenue in East Quad, Billy.
Yeah. So this, I don't know if anybody's gotten to see this property, but it's adjacent to a bulkhead to the west. It's a quasi beach shoreline that has had some rock placed on it a very long time ago.
Yeah.
That's providing limited protection. But the property has suffered during some coastal storms, more erosion than usual. So the plan would be to put in a typical small rock wall right at that water line, and then cover it with sand and create a dune to give better flood protection for that property.
Hey, Billy Mack.
Yep.
Are you talking
Yes.
about the water line where the rocks are now, or farther towards the water where the
Rack line.
It's pretty much the water line to the rack line, that area.
the rack line? So you
So
come you come in about 10 feet from where the rocks are now.
We'd keep it on the high water line, but you could see that a lot of those rocks got basically pushed inland. So we clean that up and build just a cleaner wall there that would give them that flood protection. So the line would be right at the high water mark.
Are you going to have a path over the rocks made out of wood, or just gotta walk on the grass or rocks to get to the beach?
Yeah. Right now, nothing's proposed. If something is needed in the future, we might need to propose that. But there's, we don't have anything proposed over it right now. It's really for flood protection, because that property, you can see how far the property line used to go out. Per the
Right.
survey, they've
Well,
lost
that's
a lot.
okay.
They're just continuing to lose a lot. It is
That's
because of that.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that
What
return
is-
has probably been extended a couple times.
What is the elevation of the project going to be? The rocks.
We're about 3 feet off beach elevation, so not very high, but just enough to protect.
No
you can
higher
see
than the
that,
bulkhead to the
elevation.
west, right?
Yeah, exactly. Bulkhead elevation.
I think you're showing about 2 feet off elevation. You're gonna bury it in, it looks like 2 feet, right? According to your plans here.
Yeah, correct.
And
Yeah.
then you're gonna be, you're showing from the house, if you add these numbers up, 91, at 91 feet is where you're gonna start, and you'll be at level. You're gonna go 2 feet. Then you're gonna be down by 2 feet for 3 foot, and then back up.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're seeing the cross section right there.
Well, anytime that you have a situation like this with a hardened structure and it goes to a soft beach, then the most logical thing to do is to reduce the wave energy. So you see, you've done that. You're doing it on an angle, which is the right thing to do.
Right.
And it's a transition, usual, standard operating procedure of putting some sort of angled rock revetment to come up to that bulkhead.
I would say the only additional thing that you could do perhaps to satisfy, any questions of where specifically. And we went through a project with a big rock project that we were all looking at in the last month, where it was questionable in terms of where it was going to start and where it was going to finish. Is that if you did, like Eric went out and he had did a field inspection on a stake that was out in the water. I think what would be helpful for the board is if you had a couple of stakes in projects like this where you're showing the first point where that 91 feet off of the house is, where there's a clear 91 feet, and then another stake where the termination of that project is, which is looking like another 5 feet. And then the board could physically conceptualize and know exactly where the start and finish, of the rock project's going to be. I think that may be helpful to the board if you're so inclined to want to get out in the field. I was there. I looked at, but I think that's helpful to board members to conceptualize and visualize. And I think that way, after a project's finished, then there's no question from those members. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would
Definitely know where the meets and bounds of this project is going to be, because we've had a couple, like Scott said, a couple projects that were questionable and we're reevaluating them. We want to make sure we get this one right. And one other thing I know they're going to be covered, but I think using native stones is the best. We have had projects where they've used blue stone and other stuff. It just doesn't really, fit with the nature of the beach.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, so two things to take away on that. I will stake or have that stake the location of the proposed rock wall, and then by native stone.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. Let me know when you stake it, Billy. Perhaps I'll go down there and meet with you. But I think that would help set a lot of the board members at ease.
I think the whole board should take a site visit of it, Scott, to get a good learning experience, because like I said, those projects have been done. We're still questioning them.
Right. Well, that's why I made the suggestion. That way the board members could have confidence of exactly what it is they're anticipating. And I think it's a simple enough thing to do. You have measurements coming right off of the house. So I think it would just help the board members get a better feeling for what's going on.
Right. It would speed up the process too.
I think so.
Yeah.
So call me when you have this.
I will. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate the time,
you.
like always. Okay.
We're holding
Cheers.
that?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Billy.
I think that concludes the work session list of permits. Am I correct in that, or do we have something else popping in here?
Nope, that's it on the agenda.
Okay, so did we
Where's Eric?
did we lose the president here?
Lost Eric.
Is he
We're off the air.
stop off at the
Scott,
Chick-fil-A or something?
It's up to you now.
All
Yeah, a
right,
lot of
well,
pressure.
if no pressure for me at all, because I think we've come through the agenda and the work session. Does anybody else have anything else that they want to bring up? I know we have another meeting at 1 o'clock coming up. I think we also have another executive type of a conference coming up.
Yes.
And I know people want to eat some lunch.
Yep.
So if you folks have anything else that you need to discuss?
One quick thing, I had contacted from the Bay Constables about a boat being in Sag Pond. I told them it was Cornell's boat, and we had given permission for 2 weeks to allow them to moor it there. So just a heads up to everybody on the board that it's all been taken care of. All right.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you, Ed.
All right.
Anybody have anything else? There he is.
Eric's back on.
Would you stop
Eric,
for a
you're
sandwich?
muted. Eric, you're muted.
Okay, I had to switch to another device. Okay.
I thought you stopped off for a sandwich or something.
No. Okay, no, I don't have anything to add. You want a break?
Yeah, we could break.
Okay. All right. So,
I'm
what?
going to forward the bridge conference call information as soon as we get off the Zoom meeting.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
What time is that going to be at?
that's going to be at 2 o'clock.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, figure an
Thanks,
hour
Lisa.
for the meeting. Yep. Okay.
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 See you
Great.
guys at 1 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay. See
We
ya.
need a motion to close.
Motion